ultimately to be successful, you have to be passionate, because it takes time. It takes a lot of time to be good at anything. And if you really want to sit down and invest that time and that energy and all that heart and all that love, you need to continue to be very passionate about what you do. And I think for me, and again, so many people that I work with in Toronto, it really shows that they can call me up and say, yeah, I was studying this morning, early in this morning, and let's go do a tasting. And you just see that. And I think ultimately that's why people excel and are successful.
It's all passion. What I do is all passion. I mean, until very recently, I think I fit pretty squarely in the starving artist category. Not only because what I was doing is so unusual, but also because I set a series of parameters for myself right off the top. Right off the top, I decided to not embrace the whole recommendation model. So I never say, here are my top 5 beers that I think you should try, or here are my fall picks, or, you know, oh, if you're going to this city, these are the breweries you need to visit. Because my goal really was to promote the entire industry and to encourage people to be adventurous and try as many different things as possible and discover their own palate.
I had a really strong passion for the science behind brewing and distilling, but I also really like supporting craft producers. I really want to merge that together, and I like how there's a mix of art and science when you're working on the craft side of things, and that you're producing things from scratch.
Once you get into the industry, you kind of, I don't want to say get stuck because that has a negative connotation, but you end up maybe joyously stuck. You know, I've been producing alcohol for almost 10 years now, and I can't even imagine a career where you didn't show up to work and got to hang out with passionate, like-minded individuals and create awesome products that other people enjoy in a kind of a celebratory sense, and the community around that, right? And so kind of once you get your foot in the door and you start to see how strong that community is, regardless of gender, you kind of end up thinking, what are these traditional jobs when people go to offices and sit at desks? And this is exactly what I want to do, you know?
I think that it being a very male-dominated industry is a deterrent in itself. A lot of females look at it, and it can be intimidating if you want to take a class that has only men in it, or the top professionals are gentlemen. It's that in itself can be intimidating, I think. That's a good question. Beyond that, I'm not sure why, because I love it so much, and I'm a female, so it's hard for me to understand why more people, female or male, wouldn't want to be in it. But perhaps that's the reason, just that sort of historical hangover that still exists from it being all gentlemen.
I did notice in the first few years I was often the only woman in the room, but that didn't make me uncomfortable at all, and I never, if anything, the dominant feeling I got within the industry from people was not, what is she doing here, but rather, oh my goodness, there's a woman here. Let's not mess this up. You know, this is great. So just very excited to have someone around. And at the end of the day, we were talking about passion earlier. You know, for me coming in, anyone I meet in the industry, there's a few minutes of like, and then the minute we start talking and it's clear that we both care a lot about beer and that we're knowledgeable, then that's the end of that. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. Or...
In the craft industry, I think that there's less representation for women, which is a little bit confusing, yeah. But in kind of the macro industry, there is a far larger representation of women, and I think that's also just kind of long-standing traditions, kind of priorities while hiring kind of more equal opportunity employers. A lot of women coming out of engineering programs going directly into big brewing industry. And so in the craft industry, I feel like a lot of small breweries are opened by men, and that kind of perpetuates itself. You know, all their buddies end up working for them, and so we're a little bit underrepresented. Right, yeah. It's it's an interesting question. We didn't choose these careers to be, you know, activists. We chose to do this work because we want to. That being said, the more, we're both involved in creating kind of networking communities for women in the alcohol industry, and you get a lot of flack saying, like from male counterparts saying, why do you need that, or you're being exclusive? It's like every day is exclusive for us, and so it's frustrating when people congratulate you on the work that you do because you're a woman. I'm not trying to make a conversation every single day I go to work, but at the same time, you do want more women in the industry and stronger networks and kind of more progressive thought and more equal opportunity. So you kind of want that conversation, but you don't want to focus on that conversation. You just kind of want it to happen organically.
I think that there is a tremendous focus on if you're a female, just because it is a bit of an anomaly as it's such a male-dominated industry. However, I don't think that it will be something that we can get away from, at least for the time being, because it is such an anomaly and there are so few. I think that, at least for now, that's just the reality that we have. It would be great if everyone was just purely judged on their talents, their knowledge, their skill, their application of their knowledge. I just don't think that that's the case at this point, and I think that publications like City Bites having their piece on top chefs that happen to be female, that is fantastic, because that's where we are right now, and it's a very positive light that's being put on it. There's no negativity. It's just promoting these chefs that happen to be women.
There are female brewers who are winning all kinds of awards. I know personally, when I got my Master Cicerone certification, the media really wanted to say that I was the first woman in the country to achieve the certification. And, I would say, well, that's accurate, but I'm also the first person. If you say first woman, it's kind of misleading. It implies that others have come before me and happen not to be women. And without fail, they would take a step back and think about it and say, okay, so you're the first person in Canada, but are you the first woman to ever achieve the certification? And then I would have to say, no. I am the second, and 2 out of, I think we were 6 at the time. 2 of us passed the exam. So 2 out of 6 is a pretty good statistic overall, but to them it was disappointing. And I did find that mildly annoying. I didn't really understand. I still don't quite understand.
First thing I would say would be you need to get hands-on experience. It's not your typical 9-to-5 job. It's not a desk job. There's odd hours. You're doing a different job almost every single day. Yeah, you get really dirty. There's lots of aspects of the industry that you just need to find out about. So it's really good to just figure out if you like that type of work before committing to that as a career. That's one thing I would say to somebody just starting out.
Sure, yeah, reaching out. I mean, there's more and more networks and networking events being created throughout Toronto and throughout all of Ontario. So really kind of utilizing those networks, meeting producers. And even if you think, I want to be in the beer industry or I want to be in the distilling industry, do you want to be on the production level? Do you want to be in marketing, sales, R&D, quality control? There's so many faucets you can explore. So really kind of making contacts, wading through that, and try to get as much kind of hands-on experience as you can to see if it's something you even like to do. Because it really is a job. The rewards of this job are the lifestyle, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
And so if you don't like the lifestyle, there's no point in doing it.
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to speak to a number of females getting into the wine industry. They might find me on LinkedIn or other social media and want to have a coffee or talk to me about what it is like. And I've talked to people that are also gentlemen trying to get into the industry. And I think my advice is pretty much the same, that there is no substitution for really hard work, and that it will be challenging. And I do, will it be more challenging for a female? Probably. That's, I'm not trying to disparage, the industry in any way, but there are additional obstacles that can be there. So my messaging is that all of it is very possible, but any amount of really great hard work will get you there. So just to remain focused on that.
the industry is so open right now that the jobs are not defined. You know, I made up my job and then it became a job. And the industry, the craft beer industry, and not the beer industry, but the craft beer industry is so new right now that I really think there is room for anyone. And I have helped a few people sort of find their niche in the industry. And it's, you know, completely different from what I'm doing, but they're so happy because they're doing what they want to do in, let's face it, one of the best industries out there, for sure. Beer is amazing.